Hi, I'm Andrew Meier, and this is the type of video I would post on social media if I had an educational platform. What you're looking at is an approximation of the energy demand curve on a typical Alberta weekday. As you can see, demand is pretty low when everyone's asleep, increases a bit before work, and sees a big spike in the evening. There are numerous factors, but the largest electrical loads come from ovens and stoves, electric dryers, and electric furnaces and AC. When facing such volatile demand, it makes sense to supply this grid with fossil fuel power generation. It's easy and quick to increase supply when demand needs it. Consequently, when powering this grid with an energy source that's harder to control, it's very difficult to respond to changes in demand. For example, one of the biggest problems with solar energy is the duck curve. As the sun sets and solar output decreases, that's about when energy demand increases, so it's really hard to meet that. Variable energy prices, which we have in Alberta, are an incentive for consumers to shift their demand to off-peak hours to balance out the grid. As we increase the proportion of wind and solar power generation, there's going to be increasing incentive to shift our demand to times where energy is abundant. It's just going to be cheaper. But shifting demand isn't really easy. You can't boil water at noon for use at 7 p.m. for dinner, and it's pretty hard to do laundry while you're at work. But it is possible to shift the demand of heating and cooling systems without affecting the day-to-day comfort of people too much, especially in a well-insulated building. For this case, energy can be used when abundant and stored in the house in the form of thermal energy. So, homes are a thermal energy battery where they're charged with thermal energy and discharged slowly as they cool down. With better insulated buildings, it matters less when you charge it. Advances in the insulative properties of our walls and windows means this matters less and less in the future. So if the timing of the demand of heating and cooling systems is less and less important, how can we shift that demand to better match the output generation of renewables? A lot of people, and an increasing number, have Wi-Fi connected thermostats. This allows for instantaneous and remote control of one of the largest loads on our power grid. This has been attempted in the past, where an energy company offered cheaper electricity if the supplier could change your thermostat. In Texas, some people's ACs were shut off during a heat wave to avoid a blackout. This made a lot of people mad, understandably so, but that doesn't mean we should abandon this idea. In the future, heating and cooling systems can actually be run in advance instead of just retroactively to meet these demand and supply mismatches. We can predict tomorrow's temperatures and therefore predict tomorrow's heating demand. At the same time, we can predict the solar and wind generation of the next day. So if we see tomorrow is going to be cold and cloudy, run everyone's furnaces today. All in all, focusing on the demand side of the electrical grid to better follow the energy output of renewable generation will increase the viability of a transition away from fossil fuels. Interconnecting thousands of thermostats would allow for granular control of one of the largest loads on our system. And more renewable energy will make fossil fuel generation more and more expensive relatively, so consumers will have increasing monetary incentive to shift their demand to hours when renewable energy is abundant. All of this, combined with better insulated homes, would allow us to store large amounts of renewable energy in the form of heat in homes across the province.